Hi everyone and welcome to a new video of Gamegear. In this video I'm going to take a look at the Astro A20's Gen 2 and we'll compare it to the Gen 1 so you know exactly what to expect from this latest edition. If you like the sound of that, be sure to hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe at the end of the video. First thing we do is we'll take a look inside the box of the Gen 2 edition and we'll see exactly what is inside the box. The first thing you'll find is a manual, which of course none of us will read. Next thing you'll find is a USB-C cable to charge the headset. Then we see a USB dongle. This is the transmitter. And then last but not least, we have the headset. That's it. So it's pretty straightforward. The good news is it'll be very easy to connect. When it comes to platforms, the main goal of this headset and this specific one is the PS5 edition. Of course, you can still connect it to the PS4 as well. It has a USB dongle. It is very important to know that the USB dongle will differ if you use it for Xbox or PlayStation 4, 5, whatever, because of the protocol that is used on USB is different between Xbox and PlayStation, so that's the only reason. The headset itself is exactly the same, so you can perfectly connect the Xbox headset to this dongle as well, or the other way around. And good news, you can actually buy the USB dongle separately, and I think on the US website you can buy them for about $20, so it's very acceptable. If you would have both types of consoles at home, you can just buy a second dongle for $20 and you're all good to go. When it comes to PC, both the Xbox and the PlayStation version work both on PC, so you don't have to worry about that. When it comes to specifications, of course, it is a wireless headset. You can't use it wired, so you have to use the wireless. Of course, you can connect it with the USB, but the sound will still go over the wireless connection, so you don't have a 3.5mm jack that you can plug into the controller or your phone, for example. So it is completely wireless. It uses the 2.4 GHz frequency. Because of this, the battery lifetime is up to 15 hours. Of course, this may differ. If you put the music to the maximum volume and you are chatting the whole time, of course this uses more power than you would put it on, for example, a 50% volume. Alright, when it comes to specifications, we see that we have two 40mm drivers. Of course, this is a bit of a standard in the gaming industry. It has a frequency range of 20 Hz up to 20 kHz. When it comes to the connection, it only has a wireless connection. It works on the 2.4 GHz band. This is used often by a lot of devices. It shouldn't be any issues. I think about 10 years ago, this might be an issue if there were too many devices on the same frequency band, but right now, I think these days, it will not be any issue. Maybe if you take it to a LAN party and you have 1,000 people and a few hundred of them have a 2.4 GHz wireless headset, that might be an issue, but in normal home usage, there shouldn't be any problem. This also means this headset can only be used wireless with the supplied dongle. There is no cable that you can connect, for example, a 3.5mm jack, so you can connect it to your phone or to the controller of your console. Nope, you'll always have to use a dongle. Of course, you can use the USB cable to charge while you are playing, but when it comes to the audio connection, it will always go over the wireless connection. The microphone is flipped to mute, so you just pull it up and then the microphone will be muted. You also have a little bit of tactile feedback, so you know exactly when the microphone is muted. If you want on a PS5, of course, you can also use the mute button on the controller. When it comes to the ear cups, it is a fabric ear cup. It is pretty big, so it's over the ear design. It should be big enough for most people. For those of you who have pretty big ears, I did the measurements, so it's about 10 centimeters on the outside and about 5 centimeters on the inside that you have space. And when it comes to width, you have about 8 centimeters on the outside, and then on the inside it's about 4 centimeters. So the inside of the ear cups is 4 by 5. The cushions themselves, they are from fabric, so there's always a choice that you have to make between fabric and leather. I think the good thing about leather is that there's better noise cancellation, and when you use fabric, of course, the air can come in, it breathes easier, so in the summer you won't have those sweaty ears. The drawback, of course, is that the sound can go out, and if you like really a lot of bass, then you probably prefer leather ear cups as well. But in this case, they are fabric ear cups. When it comes to build quality, the overall design is in plastic, but when you pull back the clips right here, then on the inside you will see that they used a metal as a slider for the headset to move it up and down. So it's definitely solid. They also use 2 screws right here. So even if you pull it like this and twist it, the headset will not break. So it's definitely a very strong design. When it comes to the headband, this is not in fabric. It's more of a rubber, and of course underneath it you have a foam. Whether you like this feel, yes or no, it depends on you. I think most of us, unless you are bald, you will not feel any difference between fabric or the rubber being used. The design is pretty sleek. You have white and blue, and on the top you have the classical black look. So it's definitely a PS4 look. If you have the Xbox One, then the blue accents, they are changed to green. When it comes to audio controls, it is very simple. You have a power button here on and off, then you have an equalizer button here. Then we have a volume wheel. This wheel will change the balance between voice and game. And then last but not least, we have a connection to charge the headset, and this of course is a USB-C connection. Then of course we have the dongle. That's pretty straightforward. To avoid any confusion, they even put the PS or Xbox logo on the dongle itself. So if you have 2 different dongles, you can't make a mistake. When it comes to connecting, just simply plug in this little thing, and then you have a pairing button right here. Normally you don't have to pair, it will work straight out of the box, but if you're switching between the Xbox and the PlayStation dongle, then you have to pair each dongle each time, of course. And then we have the last thing in the box, and that of course is the USB-C cable. The cable is pretty straightforward, nothing wrong with it, but I think it's pretty short. Usually when you're playing and you have to charge, then you probably want to continue playing, and this cable is probably too short for most people who are playing on their console. This covers everything that you need to know about this headset. The only thing that remains is the price. Well, these headsets can be bought for about $119 or 119 euros if you're in Europe. Good, now it's time for the difference between the Gen 1 and the Gen 2. The first difference that you will notice is of course the base station. The Gen 1 Astro A20s, they had a base station which you had to connect with a USB cable for the voice and an optical cable for the game sound. So this is a similar setup comparable to the A50s, but in this case it was only stereo sound. The entire base station has been switched up for a USB dongle, which in the case of the PlayStation 5 and the new Xbox is of course good news, because you simply have to plug in the USB dongle. You no longer have to use the optical cable, which of course, as most of you know, the optical port is no longer available on the new next-gen consoles. This also means that you will have the 3D surround sound that is integrated in the PS5. Another big difference is the frequency band. The Generation 1 was working on the 5 GHz frequency, and the Generation 2 is working on the 2.4 GHz frequency. As I said before, you shouldn't worry. There are not too many issues these days anymore when you're working on 2.4 GHz. I wouldn't worry about any interference, even though a lot of devices are working on this frequency. This was probably the reason why the Gen 1 was working on the 5 GHz, but nowadays the 2.4 GHz technology is so good that you shouldn't worry about it anymore. Now, another advantage to switch over to 2.4 is that it uses less battery power. This also means that the battery lifetime went from 9 hours up to 15 hours on the Gen 2. When it comes to sound quality, just as the Astro A40 and A50 have been upgraded to the Astro V2 sound, the Generation 2 A20s have also been upgraded to this new soundscape. The range of the headset has also been increased. I think with the Gen 1 you had about 9 to 10 meters distance that you could walk before the connection was lost. Well, with the new 2.4 GHz connection you can even go up to 15 meters. Of course, this depends heavily on the situation you have in home. If you have a lot of walls in between, then of course the distance will be less. But yeah, you get the idea. It has an increased distance. Now, before we finish up this review, I'll do a quick microphone test, and while doing this microphone test, we'll take a look at the Astro Command Center, so you'll see which settings you can change with the Astro Command on the A20. Alright, from now on you are hearing the Astro A20 Generation 2 microphone. I'll move it up and down just a little bit. Now we're moving up, now we're moving down, now we're moving closer to my mouth, and now we're moving further away. So this is what you can expect from the microphone. As you can see, I also plugged in the dongle. I pressed on a little button so it went into PC mode, and then I launched the Astro A Command Center, application. As you can see, it is very limited. Normally you can change all the equalizer settings and a bunch of extra stuff on the Astro A40 mix amp and the A50 mix amp, but sadly this is the only thing I see in the Astro Command Center. So it means that the functionality when it comes to software is very limited. We can only update the transmitter and the headset to the latest firmware, and that's it. So I really hope that in the upcoming months they will update this, because I always like to play around with the equalizer settings. For now, however, you will have to do with the default settings of the headset. Alright, then it's time for the conclusion. So by changing from 5 GHz to 2.4 GHz, we have a longer battery lifetime. We can also go further with the signal, so this increases of course the comfort of use. By changing from the base station with an optical cable to a USB dongle, we have made the installation a lot simpler, and of course we have the compatibility with the PS5 and the Xbox next generation, and of course now you can enjoy the surround sound that is integrated in these platforms. When it comes to audio quality, it's good to hear that the Astro A20 Generation 2 has also been upgraded with the Astro V2 sound. The build quality is of course top-notch, just as we were used to from the A10 and the A20s. Just as the original one, you can of course continue playing while you are charging. You have the flexible flip to mute microphone. The design of the headset itself of course stayed the same. You have the same type of ear cups. The only big difference is the USB dongle. Alright, that's it for this video. If you got any questions, do not hesitate to post a comment and I'll reply to you as fast as I can. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.